Hey guys, man, the heat is crazy and the humidity. um, hey, I wanted to take a few minutes and reach out to you with some things that I've had on my mind, and today just brought it all to a head. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to do it. I wanted to let you know that the event the other night at Steve's was, in my opinion, one of the best gigs that we've ever sounded. I thought that the Boston song was, except for me coming in a little early on one of those little spots, those runs at the beginning, I think that we were as tight as we've ever been. Born to Run at the end, we got a standing ovation. I don't know if it was for that song. Probably not. It was probably just because we were calling it a night. But regardless, we got a standing ovation for being there. I just felt like that was such a great, wonderful opportunity for us to give something of eternal value to Steve. Money at gigs is fun, but you spend it, it's gone. You never even think about it after that. Steve hadn't stopped thinking about this ever since Saturday, and he'll continue to think about it probably for years from now. He'll remember how we celebrated my 60th birthday, and so Steve called me today, and we talked a lot, and his reason for calling was to thank me for whatever my part in that was, but I was wanting to thank him and tell him thank you again for the opportunity to be a part of something so personal to you. It's your birthday. This is your family, and you've invited us, strangers to them, but and then on top of that, he refers to us as his music family, and that's what I feel too. I feel like we're family. I said all I need to say about Steve's mom. She's just amazing. I can't even, I felt, me and Chop, we both said, man, miss my mom. I saw that look of pride in her eyes, and every time she'd look over at Steve, which was almost every song and through the whole song, she would look at him with the pride. And I remember doing things in front of my mom at church or whatever, and she had that same look, and it just kind of made me miss my mom. And Greg was thinking the same thing. We're getting older, we're losing our parents, and so that meant a lot to be able to see that and to treat Steve's mom a little bit like I wish I could treat my mom right now. I wanted to also pick up on that theme of family, because this is why I called. I wanted to exercise something that I used to tell people as a assistant manager at Barnes in the operating room, and that is, people need to hear things that you probably should be telling them, but you keep it to yourself. And we tend to say the negative things because we want to help them improve. We want to help them for them and for us, right? And so there's sometimes a selfish motivation for that. But if they're doing something well, we might think it, we just don't say it. No news is good news is what I used to say. Find some half full cup in life, and so people are ignoring you. Well, hey, at least they're not yelling at you, right? So, but as somebody in a management role, I realized that we have a job that was difficult, and there are people that question their own abilities daily, hourly, and aren't sure that they're going to be able to continue to be an OR nurse. And I would call them in my office and offer them candy, and then ask them to sit down so that I could spend the next 5 to 10 minutes telling them how great they were, how quickly they're catching on, despite the fact that it's been 4 months. I would remind them that it took me 7 months before I was fully on my own, independent, because there's so many different surgeries, and even one specific surgery, a total knee replacement, is done by 3 different surgeons, and all 3 surgeons do it differently. Different equipment, different positioning, different instruments, different vendor, and that's one thing. And we would do, I don't know, in our pod we probably did 75 different types of procedures, and that's not counting then how many doctors per procedure. It takes a while. It takes a long time. My point is that I wanted to go back and explain what my thought process was when I approached you and asked you to come join this band. At the time, I had Keith Domasek, who I knew was part of 3 other bands. He was never going to be fully my guitar player. And he wasn't learning the leads because he had all those other things to be thinking about. And so we weren't really getting very far with Keith in that role. I knew I needed to find a lead guitar player. Greg was on the drums, but Greg, I think that it was the show In Living Color that used to do a skit about this Jamaican family, maybe Dominican. Can't remember where they were from, but apparently the stereotype there is that they all work 3 jobs, and so they would constantly have these little setups where, what are you doing? Oh, I got my 3rd job starts at whatever, and anyway, they built a whole thing around that. It just hard-working people. Well, Greg laughs at 3 jobs. Greg's just getting started on his 3rd job, and has 6 more probably in the queue. Plus, people like me call him if I have a problem. Greg, can you help me with this? Greg, you mind? And you got any ideas on that? And he gets calls all the time. I spend a lot of time with Greg. Phones ringing, text messages, and I got to go buy Yvonne's on the way home. Tim's calling. There's Pat. He's a person who doesn't have the word no in his vocabulary, and we'll give you the shirt off his back so you can let your little brother wear it because he's so small. But he's small in a great way because you should see him without that shirt on. He is ripped. He is like Sylvester Stallone ripped. Just take a look at his forearms the next time. You'll see tons of veins. And if he were to pull up his sleeve, give him a compliment because he's been working really hard. He didn't eat really very well before. He'd go work his concrete job, and then he would go mow grass all day long. And you get in that rhythm of yard to yard to yard to yard. You want the day to get over with. And man, if I blow through this a little quicker, I can sneak in one more at the end. And he wasn't eating. And then when he did eat, it was a bag of chips or something. So, and Greg wants to put on a couple pounds of muscle. So he's had to retrain himself how to eat and eat a lot of protein. And we work out every week, just one day. But he's on a 3-day routine where he can do some of these at home. And he's already put on like 4 or 5 pounds of real muscle. And so when I give Greg trouble about being small, it's only because I'm jealous. I'm ridiculously jealous that he's that tiny, still like he was in high school, and I'm not joking. His thighs are anyway. I'm jealous because look at me. I'm 300 pounds. I'm literally almost 3 times of him, and that's nothing to be proud of. But I had Greg, and Greg wasn't, because of all the commitments, he wasn't getting very far on. I mean, we were doing this Kiss song that needed, the drums were doing something 3 different ways at certain intervals, and he was like, man, I've heard this song 1,000 times, and I know how I know how it can be. I know how I am, and I know how everybody else is. If you feel like you know a song, you just, maybe you're not likely to practice it as often because you know it. And but he just found quickly that he didn't know it, didn't have time to learn it. And so I had to ask Greg, do you feel like that's ever going to improve? And he said, I don't think so. I'm really giving it everything I can now, and I think maybe you might need to find a drummer. So the quest began. I needed to find a guitar player. I needed to find a drummer. And I believe in God. I believe that God is real and that He intervenes in our lives. I believe that when things are going well, he is blessing us with things that we don't even deserve. And when things are going bad, some of that might be him trying to get my attention, that there are things in my life that I need to address that aren't in line with what he would want for me. And as such, he allows me to go through some turbulence so that I start looking up and saying, hey God, get me out of this turbulence. And now the conversations between us start up again, and I can get my life right with him. I just feel like you see that in the Bible a lot. I mean, Jonah was told, go to this city, Nineveh, and tell these wicked people that I'm going to destroy them if they don't clean up their act. And Jonah knew God and said, I don't like those people. Those are horrible people, and I want you to destroy them. I'm not going to go tell them. So here's this little man who just bails. He goes the opposite direction. So God brought some turbulence in his life, and he got his attention. Jonah went and told them. My point is that I needed to find people that were going to be a part of this band. And this band is not a God band, right? We're just singing music that you hear on the radio. And we're not out there to make Christians of people. But wherever we go, we represent our Maker. And I did feel like we needed to honor him. We prayed a number of times when we would go out at the beginning. We don't do that anymore, and I would like to start again. Just to thank God for getting us where we're at and blessing us the way he has. You, whether you know it or not, all of you are those blessings. I found Ed in a way that was completely, had to be a God thing. Because I just went over to Kelly's to, I don't remember what Kelly, they were going to have me do Monster Mash maybe? I don't know. But I used to go over to Kelly's on the night that they would, minus Ryan, would practice. And there was this new guy there. I'd never seen him before, and it was Ed. And here's Ed, introduces himself to me, big smile on his face, asking me like real poignant questions because he was just curious about who I am, why I was there, who did I know, and took real interest. And just, I mean, the nicest guy. And in that conversation said something about, I'd love to hear your band sometime. And I don't know where it came from, but I said, well, if you ever want to come to one of our rehearsals, yeah, I'd like to. And he ended up coming. And it wasn't too terribly long after that I'd had the conversation with Greg, and I had a couple of drum people, some options. And Ed was my first because first of all, it's Ed. I mean, Ed is one of the nicest people. And I just felt like this was kind of laid out ahead of time for me. You have found somebody who's going to fit all those requirements. He's nice. He's talented. He's somebody you could get along with. And so I asked Ed, and he agreed that. I'm sorry, I'm moving around because I got to get ready for this doctor's appointment. He's somebody who I could get along with and would get along with the rest of the band. And so I asked Ed. Ed said yes, and that's why we have Ed in the band, because he was available, but I think that God had prepared him for our band. And Ed is just like a family member. I mean, just awesome. So now I've got Keith Domesick, but I can't keep Keith. So I just happened to mention to Kent Miller this thing about Keith, and I said, what I really need is a lead guitar player, somebody who can do what Keith does, but then can learn all those other parts. I'd love to do Comfortably Numb, but Keith ain't learning the solo. And excuse me. And I'm going to talk while I'm doing this. So, turns out, Kent knows Chop. Chop has recently quit his band, the Little Sister Band, and he says, I don't know if Chop wants to join a band again right now, but I'll ask him, and he would be great. Now, think about how lucky I was that Kent knew Chop. And think about Chop himself. Does he or does he not fit that criteria of being a nice guy who's very talented, who gets along great with everybody? I mean, here's 2 for 2, swinging a home run right out of the gate. So, I haven't lost Olivia exactly. I knew that there may be a time, but I'm waiting on that time. So, Chop knew Craig, and before you say, where was God on that decision, let's move on to Dave, and we'll discuss those 2 people. So here I am, Keith, if he's available, but now Chop's there, so I'm not as worried. Me, Ed, we've got a band starting here. We can meet downstairs and we can really start going through some songs. I say something to Greg about, what if you just came in and sang a couple songs? Would you be willing to do that? There's a couple I can't do. And Greg was like, I think I could come sing. Well, Greg's literally he may as well be. His brother's daughter married my son. There's got to be some in-law connection there, once or twice removed and never brought together. I don't know. But Greg is family to me. He's as much a brother as any brother I've ever had, and if not more. I was going to be real honest about that, because he'd give me the shirt off his back and the other one, so I would wear one here and here. So now we got Greg singing some songs, and then Craig comes in. Now we don't have to have Keith Domasek for anything if we've got Craig. And Craig just turned out to be Craig. It's not as though that was a failure. And let me explain why. Dave Womble said something to me when Dave joined. He said, I was talking to my wife, Diane, and she said, are you guys going to go out and sing Christian music ever? And Dave asked me, what do you think about that? And does it bother you that we're not? And he's like, I'm fine with it, but I'm just curious to know what you're thinking. And I said, no, we're not. That's not our intention. We're a band that is singing secular music, but we don't have to be like many other bands that when they do get out there, they use a lot of profanity. They pick songs that are specifically using profanity. And I said, we can be different. And if the opportunity arises where people notice that difference and they want to know us a little bit more on a personal level, we'll have an opportunity to share that with them then. And he was like, perfect, that's great. And I said, on top of that, I don't know that there might not be somebody in our band that we're supposed to bring closer to God by a good influence. And he was like, oh, yeah, sure. I mean, because we're meeting strangers. We don't know where Chop stands spiritually. We don't know where Craig or anybody, I know where Greg stands. And so that was the discussion then. It was we will just be the Christian people that we're supposed to be, and if there's somebody in the band or somebody out there that wants to know more about us, and that now becomes our opportunity to witness to them, then that's fine. Well, I believe that even though the thing with Craig didn't work out, I believe that Craig is the person who was supposed to be influenced by us. He has told me a dozen times. I'm really here trying to think because I don't want to use hyperbole. He remembers when we went into, we did this twice. We stepped out in Swansea. We stepped out and we just walked out that back door and we said a quick prayer. We came in and we performed. Then we had another one where we went into the trailer, and I can't remember where we performed that day, but we went into the trailer and we prayed there. That's the one he remembers the most. And he has told me a dozen times easily, maybe more, how that impacted him. He said, Keith, I've watched you with your family, the relationship. I know that God is a huge part of your life. And he and I have had many a conversation about our spiritual walk. And I think that just being a part of our band has brought Craig closer to his relationship with the Lord. He was my Jerusalem. The Bible says, start locally and work your way out. Start in Jerusalem and then Jamaica and Samaria, and then go to the ends of the earth. Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria. That's what I was trying to say, not Jamaica. But don't leave them out. My point is that I think that our influence on Craig was huge for him, and that has eternal, like everlasting, forever implications. That our band might have affected him and brought him to a closer walk. Then there was Dave, not able to hear well enough to pick up many of those keyboard parts that I sat there painstakingly for hours, day after day, learning the keyboard part, writing that into the lyric sheet to give Dave, only for him to never hear them. I would say at this point, you need to play this and this and this. Just play it. You'll hear it on the track. He couldn't hear it because he wouldn't wear his hearing aids, or they didn't pick up that particular wavelength. I don't know what was going on with Dave. But consistently, practice after practice, gig after gig, he wouldn't wear his hearing aids. And that was starting to get on my nerves because I said, Dave, you can't know what to do if you can't hear. And I know, I'll bring him next time. Didn't. So he had told me during that time, I can only play chords on the keys. And I said, well, we won't need you on keys then. But he still would set them up and play chords despite me asking him not to. And he said, if you find somebody that's able to do those keys the way you want them done, the keyboard part, I'm fine with that. I mean, I just want the band to have the right person. Well, it took a while. It didn't happen overnight. And by the time it did happen, he had been there a little bit longer and really felt like, oh man, now it's hard to step away. But then that's when I had talked to Steve. Found out about Steve, and I really wanted Dave to work, and so Steve will tell you that I waited. I gave Dave so many opportunities, and it just didn't work out. And I said, Dave, I love you, man, but I'm going to take you up on your offer to find the right person. And I think I got him. So we're just going to go with him. And if you could ever be our backup, man, we would just so greatly appreciate that. So then there's Steve. Steve is, if you don't think Steve is a gift, there's a real problem, right? Steve is God had prepared everybody in this band, this lineup, for such a time as this. And I don't know if there's some opportunity out there to be a greater influence for him, but I do know that he has blessed, because nothing good comes from the devil. Only good things come from God. Even the ones that aren't Christian focused. I mean, we're not. We're playing KC radio stuff. We're not playing Joy FM. And yet he still is blessing us. There's a reason for that. When we honor him, he just pours blessings on us, even in areas that we don't think to ask for. I wanted all of you to know that each and every one of you all fit the criteria of wonderful person, great talent, and just like a family member to me. I would tell those people in the operating room, I've learned that people need to know when they're doing well as when they're not doing well. You want them to get better, and so you tell them when they're not doing well. But you don't know what's going on in their mind. And they may have thoughts that are contrary to what your thoughts are. You may have nothing but the greatest, this person is just amazing. No, I've never told them that, but they know. They don't always know. They don't always know. So my point is that I wanted to tell you, if I were to pass away in a car wreck, or if my health issues finally take over and I can no longer be in the band, I don't want us to ever get to a point where there were things unsaid. Because I think that it's nice to know that people love you, and I think it's nice to know that people look up to you. And I look up to every one of you. I said it at the beginning, I say it now, and I'll say it the day that we decide that we can no longer go forward. And that is, each and every one of you are significantly more talented than I am. And yet you come week after week to this band experience, trusting that we're all going to get there and do some great stuff. And we really have. Again, despite my lack of knowing anything about how to run a band, that bass guitar is still a learning experience for me and always will be. You give your time, and I can't thank you enough. You are amazing. My daughter is trained, has the ear now that her and Steve probably are both hearing things that are happening that are off, that they want to be able to point out, oh my gosh, you guys are so far off. Even if it's a fraction, it's so far, because to them, that it's been pounded in their head for years. And then there's somebody like me who's like, man, I just shoot from the hip. I sang at church, I shot from the hip. I was hoping I was close on the timing. I'd sing along with an accompaniment tape. So you have to be pretty close on that. But I was cool with pretty close. I was cool with giving it a little bit of freelance singing or whatever if I wasn't dead on. There's sometimes you had to be, but so I'm like that in this band a little bit, and I'm sure that I remember Steve talking about, all right, look, there's 16 beats in this Boston thing, and whatever it takes for you to just 16, and 15 was not going to work for him, and 17 wasn't going to work for him. It had to be 16. And I was like, how about if we just do it the way I do it? I think there's only 14, but I wanted him to do it my way, and he was like, it's 16. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to figure this out. Um, I went down a rabbit hole there. My point there is that I just want you guys to know that I'm fully aware that despite decisions that I'll make because of my leadership part in this band, I know where I am talent wise, and it's not where your talent is. And I want you to know, Ed, you're the best drummer I've ever seen. And I know that hits you in such a way that is uncomfortable because you're very humble and you don't take compliments easily. You appreciate compliments. You're not ugly about them. My point is that I think that you're kind of sheepish about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much work to do. I've heard you say that so many times. Oh, I've got a lot of work to do. I don't see it. In fact, the other day we did a song that you hadn't practiced in a little bit, and yet it was like muscle memory took over, and you had everything, so good. I think you just like me, and you second guess and you doubt yourself, but the rest of us don't. Not about you. We all feel like we're in amazing hands when you're sitting back there, and it's fun to look back and watch you play. Chop gave you a little rib the other day about having your eyes closed. I've seen you do that a lot, and I know that you're just in the moment. I've seen it at the Abbey. I've seen it at Copperfire. I'll be trying to talk to you, and there'll be a band up there, and you're listening to it, and your eyes are closed, and you've got this smile on your face. It's amazing to see that, to watch you in the moment just enjoying the beauty of that music. And you're doing that in our band. Our music is taking you there. It means that we're doing pretty good, I'm thinking. And that's when your muscle memory is at its best, because you're just now feeling it. Just like Chop, don't need any music in front of him. Just he knows that this is my turn to just start playing. Ed, you're amazing. Thank you for allowing me an opportunity to have the best drummer around. Chop, I know you differently than the rest of the band because you and I talk a lot. We've gone out a lot. And I know you second guess yourself a lot. I mean, you've told me, yeah, I was just out here playing. I just want to get better. I don't want to mess up. You're not the person that thinks he's got it all figured out. There are times where you'll hit a sour note. We kind of laughed about it the other night. That was funny, actually. That went over well. But it happens because you're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But you continue to try and you move forward. You move that ball down the field. You've got so many solos. I'm shocked that we're at 65 songs or more, and you're doing the solos for most of them. I'm glad Andy's picking up some of that. Andy's amazing too. But Chop, you're exactly the kind of person I wanted in this band. I didn't know you. Kent knew you. But I knew enough about you the minute I met you that I thought, man, I can work with this guy. He is awesome. Just like Ed. Another brother to me. Thank you for coming back every week. Greg, I'm not sure I have to say anything to you because you know how I feel about you. You are my brother. And you have done so much. Greg feels weird about getting paid. This is for everybody out there. We all get the same cut. Every one of us. If I get $400 from Danny's, I don't give Greg $25 and everybody else $50. Everybody gets the same cut. I hope that everybody's okay with that. I assume, because I have never heard anybody question it. And Greg feels kind of weird about it because he comes up and he sings a dozen songs, doesn't play an instrument, oftentimes not there when we set up. You know what I mean? Like, people feel like, I'm going to measure what you do compared to what I do. And if I'm not doing what you're doing or whatever, then why am I getting what you're getting as far as pay? That's how cool and amazing Greg is. He's thoughtful in that way. He lets me give him the money now because I told him, I said, there's no way I wouldn't know what to give you other than this. That to me would be wrong, to try to say, well, 5 songs or 7 songs or 10 songs is worth this to me. I hope you can be happy with that dollar amount. No. Because he is there when he needs to be doing other things. He is cleaning up afterwards. I mean, he is very helpful when it comes time to clean up. Oftentimes, it's cleaned up before I have a chance to get much done myself. So, and Greg he's the guy that gets along with everybody. I've never seen Greg not get along with a single person my whole life. Love you, brother. Andy, oh my gosh. Andy came to my house long before he became part of the band, even helping us. I asked Andy questions when they were the Lab Rats. Hey, I got a question or two about a song. Yeah, send me what you got. I'll listen to it. And he would send back the most detailed, hey, man, that sounds really good. I'm hearing this. And maybe go check the recording and make sure, but I think that it's this instead. And he'd break down what I did versus what he thought the song had, and we would talk that over. And very encouraging. Just and Andy's not my friend at this time. I mean, he's Kelly's lead guitar player and lead vocalist, but he allowed me to reach out to him. And then I said, would you mind coming over? I don't know how the things work between, I know Keith's in 3 different bands. Would you ever go to another band even just to help them? I'm asking dumb questions because I don't know anything. Yeah, no, I can come over. We can sit down and we'll just do a jam session together. So we did in the basement, and Andy had some thoughts. And back then, he was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. It's not really my music style as much as what I'm doing with these other guys. And thanks for the opportunity and reach out to me if you got any questions about things. But I'm real happy where I'm at, and I don't know that this would be a great fit for me to now learn all your songs that I don't really spend a lot of time playing or listening to myself. And I thought, it's exactly the kind of answer I wanted. Very, very honest, and it was very kind about it. And that's fine. We'll be okay. And then we had Dave for a short time, and I think for me, the Dave situation is one of those that I don't have a whole lot to comment on it. It just didn't work out. Dave's a nice guy, it really is. Wife is really nice. He's very talented, but early on, kind of like Craig, I sort of felt something was amiss, and it didn't take long before I realized that, yeah, we probably need to do something different. And that's now we've got Andy, which is incredible, because Andy, even after telling me a year earlier, yeah, I don't think that filling in or whatever is the greatest, he filled in for us. He came and he learned these 40 songs that we were about to play, and I was like, wow, he learned them, And then he went out and played them with us, and then he did it again, and then he said, if you need somebody in that spot, I'll be in that spot. And this is before Dave, and then Dave came along, and I was like, I think Dave will take it after this point. And so, but Andy had committed to, hey, if you've got something on your calendar, I'll be your guy. That's huge. That is huge. We don't have the history that me and Greg do, me and Keith and me and Dave did. You know, I mean, Andy is just still the guy I met through my brother's band, who demonstrated what an amazing human being he was when he would give me pointers on songs and let me bounce ideas off him. He introduced the theme, you know, you can pick the low-hanging fruit if you want, instead of all these very complicated songs, because I had no idea that these songs were so much more complicated than many other songs out there. There is a lot of complexity, but these are the type of songs that I love, and that's all I was thinking of. I was just like, man, I love this song. I'd love to be able to sing and do this song. And he's like, yeah, well, why don't you pick a few low-hanging fruit songs to play after that? Just, you know, don't pick every song. But anyway, that was funny. And so anyway, Andy, just quiet, but in his own world over there right now. And he's still growing into our band. He's still, though, every bit a family member, like all of us are to each other. And I can't think of anybody else now that I would ever want in that role. I don't know that I'll fill it. If anything ever happens, Andy moves, you know, Andy breaks his fingers, or I don't know. I'm not looking for another person. That's Andy's spot. And then there's my daughter, who puts up with her old man a lot. I was saying earlier, I was saying earlier how she's trained and she hears everything, and oh my gosh, how uncomfortable that's got to be for her and Steve to be like, oh man, 16 beats, and you don't. They're very gentle. She's very gentle on getting it right. She's helped Greg so much. And Greg will be the first to tell you. In fact, we'll just watch them. As soon as Greg shows up, if Olivia's there, they kind of like, they're like two little kids over there, you know, hey, how you doing? Oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And they start laughing, and I'm like, I'm going to sit here and cry looking at this amazing exchange of my best friend in the world interacting with my daughter, who I adore, and they like each other. I mean, that's, I don't know if you guys can relate to what I'm saying, but yeah, that means so much. And yeah, ask Olivia, she'll tell you I'm a big baby when it comes to things. I cry, got emotions. But she is so talented, and obviously she fits into that category that I'm describing, of somebody who can get along with anybody. Wouldn't hurt a fly. Treats people so well, and her talent is, you know, without question, some of the best vocal you'll ever hear anywhere by anybody. And she's so humble about it. I mean, you know, just like I said about Ed, try to tell Ed, you're amazing. And he's like, Yeah, I know. I got a lot of... Olivia's the same way. She may not say the same words that Ed's saying, but she's not a... Yeah, I know. I got this. I'm all of that and a bag of chips. Did I say at the beginning this was going to be a short video? I'm sorry. Maybe some of you can watch a little bit and then come back later. But my point is, I wanted each and everybody to be spotlighted in this directly from me. Because I did the spotlight for the band on our Facebook page. But that was me talking to strangers and not me being able to say certain things to you from me, the quote leader of the band. And I say that in air quotes because, like I said, it's almost comical to think that I'm really I guess I'm leading, but I'm not leading because I'm the most experienced and the best, most talented person. And you know what I mean when I say that. Sorry, I'm trying to move a bunch of wood so I can get my scooter. I'm going to the doctor and in the parking lot to where his office is a pretty long way. And oh my gosh, I don't walk fast and it hurts so bad to try to walk. I need this scooter. Alright, that ought to work. I need that scooter to get down there or I'm in agony. So have I missed anybody? We've got Steve, who honestly, that show the other night was so much more than a typical gig. It was, meeting his family was just wonderful. Amazing people. I mean, who else was like, no wonder Steve is the way he is. These people are just wonderful people. And they are. I love every one of you guys. You are family to me. My brothers, my daughter. Can't tell you how honored I am to be up there next to you when we perform, when we rehearse. You guys are... I would do anything that I was possibly able to do for any one of you. And I want you to know that there's going to be some times here in the very near future where I'm going to have some procedure that is going to kind of sideline me for a little bit. But all in order to get back a little bit more like the original me, where I am able to help people, and I would do anything for anybody if I'm healthy enough to do it. Even now, you know, up at the pub for Greg or whatever, I want to do something if I'm capable of doing it. So just know that I look at each and every one of you not as I'll see you at the next rehearsal and then we're done, but hey, let's go to Benny's and watch another band or Copper Fire or whatever. It was great going down to Copper Fire the other night with Ed. It was just me and Ed. And I remember it was kind of like that at the beginning a few times with the Abby and I just love Ed. And having that time just reminded me of how he's so much more than our drummer. He's just a wonderful person. All right, guys. Sorry this is so long. I needed to say everything that I said, and I hope that you guys feel the same. I'm convinced that you guys feel the same about each other. I mean, I remember hearing somebody say, oh yeah, I got a call from Steve this week. and we discussed a part in this song that we're about to do, and I'm like, Steve called you? I thought I was the one that would be taking so many questions and then relaying them and then being the middleman for people. But these guys are interacting with each other, and I'm not even aware of it. That's when I knew this is a band. Everybody cares. Everybody wants to get better, and they're making efforts to do that by reaching out to each other. They like each other enough to reach out in that way. Chop has done it with Dave a lot. I think him and Andy talk quite often. Me and Greg work together on things, and Greg has completely. He's like the moth that turned into a butterfly, or what is it? A caterpillar. Caterpillar turns into a butterfly. Because he's flying high now. I mean, the one song he didn't even want to do, didn't think was a song for him, Crazy Train, has turned out to probably be his best song, or it's up there in contention for number one. Boston is a great song, and he sings that too. All right, guys. From me to you, I love you. I love you, man. And I needed you to know that. I needed you to know just how much you mean to me. Take care, and God bless you, every one of you.